Hey, thanks so much for downloading the latest episode. Today, Paula and I are talking about my camping trip with producer Dub, along with our recap of the UFC. It's the changing of the guard, the old and the new. Will I go camping again? Nope. All of this and our ugly and awkward moments of the week. Thank you so much. Enjoy the show.
It's another uncensored look at the world around you, from sisters who will say just about anything to anyone at any time. It's the Uggs. Jamie?
My child abuse is acting up again.
Paula?
Appreciate it. Fuck them all the time.
Uncensored as always, it's time for the Ugly Truth.
Welcome to the Ugly Truth. This is episode 398.
So I guess we're probably not going to do our escape room then, huh? Before 400.
We're running out of time.
Yeah, well, especially if next week's going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the next 2 weeks. Damn. You know what? I'm going to see if I can wrangle Stephanie to sit in on our 400th.
Yeah.
We got to make it work. We got
to do something. 400's epic. We do something every milestone.
Yeah, every 100th episode we seem to celebrate in some form or fashion. I'll hound her today. We'll find out.
Okay.
I'll see what we can get her to do.
Tell her the Ugly Nation needs her.
The Uggs need you. Uggs!
Need.
Yeah,
put a little UG in the sky.
Really? I wonder what that would look like. Somebody tripping and falling? Signal. The Ugg signal would be someone tripping and falling?
Actually, I have to tell you something funny. Okay,
what?
This could be off air too.
No, tell me.
So remember how I told you a long time ago, I was curious because I'm weird. I was curious about brain development and child abuse.
Yes.
And I was curious if child abuse physically affected the brain.
Right.
And it actually does affect the development of the brain,
right,
in certain lobes.
Yes.
And a side effect of odd development or whatever of a brain of a child who's been abused, is clumsiness.
Okay.
And like awkwardness, clumsiness. And I'm just like, what are the freaking odds that all four of us would be that way? And it's like, it's almost our trademark.
Yeah, it is.
But I mean, it just goes to show that maybe that's why.
I am fully amenable to believing that. I mean, we have turned it into, okay, first of all, it's no secret that when something really bad is happening in our lives, that we go straight to the gallows humor. Like we're like the Four Horsemen. Like we immediately start talking.
We laugh at funerals.
We laugh, and yet we
make fun of dead people's makeup, and
we do. We talk about our impending doom all the time,
constantly. I mean, you and I had a full thread about our bodies yesterday on Facebook about how I looked like a wilted potato, and you said you looked like a stretched out sock.
Exactly. We're very self-deprecating, and I wonder. It's definitely a defense mechanism, although I find it funny.
I'm thinking about just resorting to anal sex so my partner can feel tightness.
Ew, Paula. Come on. You're not that loose.
Well, I wouldn't know,
actually. I'm going to have to.
Well, yes, thank you. I'm just going to have to date men with extraordinarily large penises so they think I'm tight. Yeah, I know, right?
By the way, it's wonderful.
I know.
Yes, you do. From not the same, but I know.
You know what's funny? We were
weird.
just having a conversation last night. Victor made a funny comment about Lyndon B. Johnson apparently going on and on about how large his penis was.
What?
Did you ever hear that?
Where did he read this? Down the rabbit hole?
No, apparently. Yeah, right. Since he's been there.
Yes. He lives there.
Apparently he used to have a thing about it, and he would whip it out sometimes.
No, that's disgusting.
So we were talking about that, and I told Ryan, I said, I'm just going to tell you this one time. I said, among you and your friends, I said, don't ever suggest to a woman that you have a large penis unless you are absolutely 100% sure it is large. I said, because there is nothing worse than being a man thinking that you have a large penis than, showing it to someone.
Right.
And the girl's like,
I've seen bigger. Here's the problem with it I have seen. What? Shut up.
I have come.
I know. I can't help myself. We're awkward.
I know.
I have had
it's that child abuse.
It's the child abuse. My child abuse is acting up again. Oh, great! Forever. That's so funny. Okay, no.
My CA is acting up.
We can do a PSA.
If you suffer from CA,
have you frequently fallen for no reason? Do you slip on dog slobber?
Do you hit your hips on the end of your bed?
Do you have unexplained bruises from nothing? Do you trip over cement? You know, it's like same.
You might suffer from CA.
Childhood abuse. God. No, what I was going to say is one of the good things about being promiscuous is that you get to experience different penises. You get to see a variety. And I have had the pencil thin tiny and the ridiculous State Fair bagel dogs level, like, and all in between. This is what I've experienced. Men who have legitimately larger than average penises do not discuss it. They do not whip it out. They do not brag.
Exactly.
They know. That's it.
Like when you unbutton their pants, it's like Christmas morning.
It really is. And you're like,
and then you look up at them and they're just kind of like,
I know.
I'm like, oh my God.
And let me tell you something. I have discussed this before, but it's been a really long time. The first time producer Deb and I had coitus.
Yes.
Now, when I met producer Deb, he weighed $125 wet.
And you probably could tell me where that 5 pounds came from.
Exactly. So when we first did, I was not hopeful.
You didn't have high expectations.
I didn't. And you know what though? I never do. I never expect a man to be well endowed ever, because it's like the rare gem. You know, it's like the perfect diamond. You just never, when you find it, you go, oh yeah, that's good. But it's hard to find.
Well, the thing is after a while, like after you've been with a couple guys, you start to realize the penis does not match the person.
Well, that is true.
You never know what you're going to get.
So when we did when the first time, I was like, are you shitting me right now?
You're like, what? Why
does no one know about this? Like, are you kidding?
Items in mirror appear larger than they may seem.
For real. And I was like, oh, I'm very pleased. I was so surprised. I was so surprised. And the thing is I thought I knew what big was until I really knew what big was. I was like, wow, that's good for you. I mean, congratulations.
All right. Did you give him a round of applause?
High five. So I was like, good for you. So the thing was, I remember one time, and this was like years later, and I said, you know, you're very gifted in that area. And he goes, you know what's so funny is I never realized that until my dad, he and his father were talking, and he goes, yeah, we'll never have to worry about ever having a wife or a girlfriend. And Daryl's like, why is that? He goes, dude, it's our penises. They're huge. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, his dad knows. But the thing is you would never, ever, no one has ever discussed it in mixed conversation. There's been no bragging, nothing.
Yeah, that's not something you really you know what's funny though is when I always found this to be the case, like when you're about to be with a guy, do you ever find they like have to talk up their penis a little bit? Like they're just like, well, it's maybe not so much like long, but it's girthy. Like they have to explain it to you before you actually see it.
Yeah,
and
you
so
know what?
Like,
it's the same thing you and I or any woman does when they're trying to excuse their flaw that they think they have in their body. Like, well, you know, my stomach, I haven't done scrunches in a long time. Like, it's the same thing. They're like preempting any disappointment that may occur.
Yeah, and so there's always like someone, or there's always like an explanation. Or they're like, well, it's really long, but it's, you know, maybe more narrow than.
I don't know why they do that.
And I'm just like, it's a penis, and I'm about to have sex. I'm pretty thrilled
right now.
Please
stop telling me no. Yeah, please stop trying to downplay the fun we're about to have.
There was only one person that he didn't like talk it up. Like he talked about like how many compliments he got about how large it was.
Oh,
and
God.
like so many girls was just like, that's not gonna fit in there.
Oh my God,
blah,
if that
blah, blah.
I would have been
And
like,
so
really?
I'm just like, oh, okay. So then like when he finally dropped trial, you know, and I was just like looking at it and I'm just like, really?
Who are these women?
I'm just like,
were they nuns? Were they virgins?
Like, were these girls just like absolutely desperate, or what's the deal here?
I would have been like, I would have looked at it and went, Wah, wah.
I'm like, am I being pranked? Where's Ashton?
Yeah, really. It's like, what? So that's the really good thing. And the other thing is women who are tied to these men who have perfectly good, large penises don't say a word, because the last thing they want is to let anyone know that they are experiencing joy and euphoria every time. Like, they're not going to tell anyone. No one talks about it. All right. Congratulations to all the women who have men with very satisfying penises, whether they're big or small. We're glad they know how to use it.
Appreciate it. Fuck them all the time.
Yes. And so with that, I wanted to tell you about our camping trip.
Yes.
No sex was to be had.
Well, of course, hopefully by nobody. Jesus Christ.
Nobody had sex.
Even though I would totally want to. I'd be like, yeah, me and Daryl are going to go on a hike and then just lean on some big rock.
No, you wouldn't.
Well, I would.
No, you wouldn't. Trust me. So we went to this pretty place in Pollock Pines. It was a reservoir lake place. And we had the most beautiful campsite. We were maybe 20 yards away from the water.
It was beautiful, yeah.
We were up high, so there was a road, and then we were up high, like pretty high, so we could see everything. And it was gorgeous. Now, the thing with Pollock Pines, Placerville, Foothills area around here is that all the dirt, it's red dirt. It gets everywhere. And so we got there, and we were setting up our tent, and I, of course, was the first person to be covered in dirt.
What were you doing? Rolling around?
I was sitting on the ground reading the instructions on how to put up this tent that we bought that we had never put up before, which is a huge mistake.
Sitting on the ground?
Because the instructions... You
could have been covered in ants before you knew it.
I looked before, and I was sitting on a tarp, but I was looking, and I still got dirty. I was reading the instructions for the tent, which are sewn into the tent bag. There's a perforation that shows you where you can cut it, but Daryl didn't want to do that, so I had to read the bag. So I'm holding the bag, and here's the thing. It is not... These are the things... This is why Daryl and I don't do much together when it comes to, like, putting furniture together or any of that stuff, because
I can just see you guys going to, like, a couple's retreat.
Oh my God.
You'd get kicked out.
It would be so difficult. And so I said, it's really not that hard. And he's like, it's really not that hard. I'm like, listen, we're getting it. I go, and I'm all 10 minutes set up my ass. This is not 10 minutes. So then,
why were you attempting to set it up at all?
Well, I was just trying to help. Everybody else had their tents up already except for ours. And so even the children had their tents erected before we did.
I'd be sitting in a chair trying to light the fire or something like that. You know, I don't do that stuff.
Took an act of God to get Kenzie to not light fires. I'll tell you that much.
She's like me.
Oh my God. She's obsessed with the fire. And so
she should go on Naked and Afraid. She could just light fire the whole time.
So finally I looked down. I'm like, God, I'm filthy. So I turned behind me because I see something, and a giant red wasp the size of a small bird is hovering around me. I'm all, So I get up and I run, and he's like, what happened? What's going on? I go, wasp. And he's like, oh my God. And I dropped my glasses, and they were hidden in the dirt. Couldn't find them. They were covered in dust and red clay.
Oh God.
And so I'm like, oh boy, we've been here 20 minutes. And so
at least you didn't step on them or something.
No, I know. And I kept thinking of Christmas Story. Oh no. So we get everything set up. It's like 5 o'clock, and I said, well, I guess we should like make food or whatever. So we started making food, and I had prepped all this food. Like, we chunked up chicken and vegetables, and we made kebabs, and everything was seasoned beautifully. We brought a tomahawk steak with us, which is a ribeye attached to the actual rib, and so it's like 3 feet long. It was really cool. So the food part was great. The first night we were there, everybody was super excited. We loved the view. It was gorgeous. Daryl was excited. He got to take his brand new truck on a camping trip, and he was so stoked about getting it all.
I wasn't sure how he would feel about that.
Oh my gosh, he was so excited to load up that thing and, have it just booninging everywhere. He was so excited about that. We decided, it's the first night, so we bust out all the booze. We had a whole bottle of champagne, which was gone in like 10 minutes. And then we busted out, and we had vodka crayons, and there was beer to be had. Everybody got shitty, except for Malia. Malia and her boyfriend did not, but the rest of us did. And so It was super fun. I mean, we had so much fun. We were just really super loud. And to the left of us, there was nobody around us campsite wise, but 2 or 3 campsites down was a group of adult men and women. There was probably like 8 or 10 of them, and they were partying. And so we saw them, and they were all like older than us. And so we look, and they had set up a sheet, and they were watching a comedy show as a movie, and they were laughing super loud, and you could smell the weed. I mean, they were having a party. Ugh. We look over there. They're watching Burt Crusher stand up.
What's that?
Burt Crusher? Oh, the machine? Okay, well, anyway.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me look it up. Go ahead. Keep talking.
So Daryl and I see that. He goes, look, they're watching Burt Crusher and camping. And I'm like, that is so cool. So Daryl yells really loud, the machine, because that's what he's known for. And all of a sudden, we hear 8 to 10 people go, woo, woo. And so we were all woo. And so we like bonded in the night with these people. It was awesome. And so after that, everybody was kind of hammered. So all of a sudden, Alyssa, who came with Kenzie, our daughter, her friend, roommate, she's like our daughter. We love her so much. They asked us to buy lime hot lime Cheetos. They called them spicy. Yeah. They called them lime Cheets. And they're like, oh, they're so good. Da, da, da. So they ate half a bag. Alyssa goes, I need to go to bed. I don't feel good. So she goes to bed.
Throw up before you go get in
She goes to bed, and Kenzie tucks her in. So she's all zipped up in her sleeping bag, and she's laying down. And all of a sudden, she goes, I need a towel. Can someone get me a towel? And somebody goes, did you throw up? She goes, no. And so we go in there, and she had vomited lime Cheets all over the floor and her shirt and the sheet that she had put on top of her thing. So I go in there and clean her up because, she's still kind of a child. And so I clean her all up, and I put all of her stuff in a garbage bag and say, okay, we'll deal with this when we get home. So she gets up.
No, I would have made her stay awake until she vomited, and then she could go to bed.
Well, she already did. And so she's sitting there. We're talking to her. And I said, do you think you're done? She's like, I don't know. Everything's spinning. And so she gets up, and we lead her over to the side where there's this little gate fence thing where she can like lean over. So she's leaning over, and she is just spewing lime Cheetos everywhere.
Jesus, how many did she eat?
A lot, apparently, according to what we can see. So
God, cranberry's really acidic too.
So she's like, leave me alone. So we leave her alone, and we're sitting around the fire pit watching her, and all of a sudden she's all, it's everywhere. And she's like echoing into the night, it's everywhere. And she's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, oh my God, she's so drunk.
You know what it was? It was the champagne before the
it was drink. Just, she did what we all do sometimes when we're having too much fun. She mixed her alcohols and ate really shitty food, and hadn't eaten much before we went camping. So she kind of had an empty stomach. But and then she threw up again, and she's like, I ate so much chicken. Oh my God, it was hilarious. Finally, she goes to sleep.
Why I don't drink.
Finally, she goes to sleep and passes out. Mackenzie and I and Daryl are all sitting around the fire. And Mackenzie's like, I should probably go to bed too. Now, Mackenzie is one of those people where you don't know how hammered they are. She's very, very good at keeping a poker face.
Okay, yeah.
She's like, all right, good night, everyone. So she goes in, and now, like I said, we were all on air mattresses. Somehow, some way, she kicks open the air mattress plug. And we hear this, psh, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we hear, oh no. And so in the morning, they literally were sleeping on the ground. Like, it was completely deflated. I laughed so hard. My eyes were watering. We could not. We snorted about that for hours. We laughed so hard.
God.
Like, this is hilarious. So luckily, but because we were drunk, and I'll talk about my ugly and awkward moment when it's time. But the next day, Alyssa looked like she had had surgery. She was so white.
Oh my God.
She was so
Did she
pale.
feel just awful?
She felt like garbage. And so she's like, I don't drink soda. I'm like, oh, well, you're drinking it today. So I gave her a Sprite and she perked up real fast.
Yeah.
She was trying to drink water. I'm like, water is so nauseating. It's
I
so
had a
bad.
friend call me one time because he had drinking too much, and he's just like, I'm just sipping on my water. I'm like, don't drink water. I'm all, that'll make you worse. I'm all, find yourself a ginger ale or a Sprite and need some crackers.
And then at some point we're sitting down and Kenzie goes, yeah, it's like that one time I bought 2 big gallons of Pedialyte, and the lady goes, wow, is your baby okay? She goes, the baby is not good.
What an idiot.
I know. Daryl and I were fine though. I actually did not drink copious amounts because the thing is that I don't want to be out of my ability to think quickly when we're camping. Like the first night, you know, every noise, it's really, really dark. And all I can think of is I'm literally in a bag. Anything can come and get me, you know, anything. And
it's very vulnerable.
You're very vulnerable. And so Malia and I, neither one of us slept at all. Like we were up most of the night. And of course, an hour after going to bed, I have to pee.
Well, you guys drank a crap ton. I'm surprised you didn't have to pee, like, you know, throughout the whole
Well, we
night.
did. And what was really great about this campsite is, first of all, there was no plumbing. There was running water in the sense that you could rinse things, but it wasn't drinkable. So you couldn't really do anything. We had nothing, no plumbing, no nothing. And so the bathroom was right behind us, and it was a really nice porta potty. Basically, it looked like an outhouse, but it was a really nice one. It was super duper clean, and we didn't have to share it with anybody. It was only ours. So that was nice. But, you know, don't ever make the mistake of looking in. It's awful. It's so bad.
Well, why would you?
It was an accident.
Everybody does.
It was an accident.
Why? You want to see how far your poop can fall?
The last day when I was using it to go pee or whatever, my biggest concern was there was a spider somewhere underneath the toilet lid, because I'm not going to look for it. So I'm just hoping that I don't get bitten on the butt by some weird creature. But anyway.
It's because spiders love porta potties.
Right? And so, although I will say that Bryce and Daryl did go up the first day we got there, and they cleared it of all the webs, all the spiders. So the next day in the afternoon, we decided to go hiking because there's a really beautiful hike that you can take. Now, every time Daryl looked at the map, he kept adding miles to it. So at first he's like, oh, it's like a 4-mile round trip hike. I'm like, oh, that's not too bad.
4 miles.
By the time we were getting ready to leave, he goes, well, now it looks like 6. And I'm like, one way. And I said, okay, I'm not doing a 12-mile hike. That's ridiculous. We're not qualified for that. The kids are wearing tennis shoes. Okay. We have hiking boots on, but that's it.
Well, and not just that, but I mean, is it a flat walk or
right?
Like...
And so when I was looking at it, I said, okay, first of all, most of this is on the road. We're walking. The hike is very short, but to get to the head of the beginning of the hike is like miles away. So we're driving to it because I'm not walking on the asphalt for the sake of nothing. So we got in the car, and the kids, because, you know, rules have changed so much, they actually got to get in the back of the truck and sit like we used to. And they loved it. They're like, oh my God, this is so freeing. I'm like, wow, welcome to my childhood. This is what we used to do. So they loved it. And so we went all the way to the head of the trail. It was, there were 2 ways to go. We went left. We probably should have gone right. We went left and ended up hiking on the bike horse trail, which is arduous. So we finally hiked through it, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm out of breath. This is just a hike, you know, come on. So what we realized was we had taken the hard route, but we got to this beautiful waterfall. And what was funny is we knew we had taken a different route because when we got there, like 15 other people had shown up, and they were just like, oh, this is so bright, beautiful. And we were like sweaty and exhausted and filthy. And they were just like, they take their little bike helmets off and they're like, this is so beautiful. And I'm like, okay, we definitely went the wrong way. So we found the right way on our way back, but it was a 2-mile hike.
Oh, that's not that bad.
No, it was totally fun. It would have been easier had we known about the actual hiking trail instead of the other one, but it was beautiful. And I took some really amazing photos. And so I'll post a couple of those. But overall, so the second night, everyone was incredibly grumpy. Everybody was falling asleep around the fire. Alyssa literally fell asleep in front of the fire in her chair. She looked like an old lady. I mean, everyone was asleep by 8:30. Daryl and I sat up.
Everyone overdid it then, I guess, the night before and that day.
They did. And so everybody went to bed way early. Like Bryce had to be woken up to eat food because he was just like, I can't. I'm so tired. Like we had worn them out.
Wow.
It was funny. And Daryl and I were laughing. I'm like, God, I thought I'd be the exhausted one. This is insane. But you know what? When you're the parent, when you're the adult in charge, it's a very different feeling. I mean, even though these are all adult people, they're still children.
Still your kids, yeah.
Yeah. And so, and they all really regress when they're tired. Everyone was cranky. Malia's sitting in the dark eating her food. And I said, so Malia, how was camping? Do you want to do it? She took a very long pause. She's all, it's fun. And I'm like, yeah. I was thinking about all the times, and Mackenzie said, oh, I think I can totally do camping. And I said, oh, really? Why is that? She goes, I just want to go somewhere where it's like not really camping. Like there's no campsite where you can't see people and you're just like out in the wilderness. And I said, yeah, you can't do that anymore because they've pushed all the animals off of the areas where people camp. So you would immediately find bears and deer, and they would eat your shit. And it's dangerous.
And they'd probably eat you if you were like menstruating or something like that.
Right. I go, it's not the same. I go, one time our dad forced us to do that. And he put our food up in a bag and hung it up in a tree. And we woke up in the morning and there were bear claw marks trying to get to the food. We were in a tent 10 feet away.
Yeah.
Like literally, we could have been eaten. We were like a burrito for a bear. So no, you don't want to do this.
Yes. He took his 4 young daughters.
And his stupid wife.
I don't know why he did that. Yeah, they weren't married at the time, but
no. The only thing I will say is this: when we were, I was like, "Well, Daryl, you did it. You successfully brought a bunch of girls who'd never. I mean, I'd been camping, but I hate it so much. I go, you took us all camping, and we all survived. No massive injuries, nothing to speak of, no bites, no nothing." He goes, "Yeah, I know." And I said, "I have to tell you, I like camping, Daryl." And he said, "Really? Why?" And I said, "You are meticulous, and you are never not doing something. Like you are constantly checking everything. You're making sure the fire's good. You escort everyone to the bathroom at night. You don't want anyone to be afraid." I said, "I really like this, Daryl." I go, you would give Pa Ingalls a run for his money in the old days." I go, "I don't know about me." I said, "But you would do all right." He's like, "Well, thank you." I said, "You're welcome." I mean, he fished twice a day, every day. He was in heaven. He loved it.
Did he catch anything?
He did. He caught a trout that was a good 3 inches long.
Oh, whopper.
So, yeah, I took a picture of it. I said, "I am so taking a picture of this fish." He's like, "Do it." He was so excited. But, yeah, he definitely is he's a Pa Ingalls, no doubt. He did really well. But he was like, "I just don't want anything to go wrong. I want it to be fun for everybody."
Well, he probably wants you guys to go back again.
Yeah, I told him that I wouldn't, but that that I would absolutely do a mountain thing if there's a cabin with running water and a flushable toilet. I'm totally down, but I'm done. Fun. I hate tent camping, Paula. It is the worst. It is. And I didn't realize how dirty I was until I got home. And by the way, we left at like 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, you said you weren't going to be home till the afternoon, but then when you said we're already on our way home and it was like 10:30, I was like, oh.
Yeah, everybody woke up and started packing immediately. And I'm like, no, we're done with this. And so we packed up. Everybody was ready to go home. I get in the shower finally after everything is said and done. And I'm like, well, I don't feel like I got that dirty, So I get in the shower and I was like, oh my God, I was filthy.
The water was all brown.
Oh my God, red. It was so much clay. All right. So anyway, done and done. I hope never to camp again. I've done so much camping in my life. And it's not like I'm one of those people who's like, I went camping once. I have been camping several times. I don't want to do it anymore. I just don't. I don't want to do RV camping either. Don't even mention it. I don't like RVs. I think they're smelly and icky.
I would do RV camping. No. They're not that bad. I mean, if you have a nice one, they're not bad.
I don't care how nice they are. Even when I see those people, they go, well, this is the tour RV. We're going to be traveling all over the country with this. I'm like, why is everything always brown and everything always smells like sewage at the end of at the back? It's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
I just get nervous of the people who drive them. I'm like, are you comfortable driving that large of a vessel? I mean, like, that's I don't really like it. Big.
Anyway, all right. So enough of the camping stuff. I'm sure more things will pop up as we record throughout the week or so. But let's talk about the UFC that aired last week.
Yes.
Because although it has been a while since it happened, a lot of shit went down, and you and I have to talk about it.
Yes.
So you
UFC
did not
241.
241.
There was actually quite a few good fights, but I would say the last three were probably the best. There was Yoel Romero versus Paulo Costa, which was a really good fight. And then there was Nate Diaz versus Anthony Pettis. And then there was Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic. Was that it?
Miocic. Everybody says it differently. I don't know
what his name. Whatever his name is, and that was for the heavyweight belt.
Yes.
Did you watch the Yoel Romero and Paulo Costa fight?
We watched the entire card.
Well, and the thing is I've noticed lately with the fights, if you watch, they're pairing like people like who are like number 3, number 4 with like number 11s, number 12s as far as rankings.
Yes.
And it doesn't make a lot of sense because I'm just like, I don't know why they're doing that. I don't know if they're just doing it to make it seem like, they just want to promote people to make it look like a good fight.
No, but but if you're a lower rank, there's only one way to boost your rank. You have to beat someone higher than you. And if they've beaten everybody else around them, then you give them a shot at someone in the top 5. And if you beat them, you skyrocket. It's kind of the nature of anything. When you age out of a thing, I mean, you're respected, but eventually you're going to lose, right?
Yeah.
Which was kind of the story of this whole fight card. It was kind of the changing of the guard. At least it was to me. And
that's how I felt too. So anyways, so that was a great fight. And then, of course, I don't think anybody really thought that the Diaz-Pettis fight was going to probably be like the biggest fight of the night. To me, it was the biggest fight of the night.
I savored every second of that fight.
I loved that fight.
I was so
bad.
excited. First of all, the Diaz brothers know how to put on a fucking show.
Yes,
they
do.
So good. And I was so excited. And I said, I have all the faith in the world that he's going to win. Those men are so trained and they are so conditioned. Their cardio is unmatched. Their stamina, it's something to behold. And they're so good.
This particular fight, Nate was in fantastic shape. When he came out for the weigh-ins, I mean, he was cut, and that's not typical for him.
Yeah, normally they're a little soft,
especially at 170.
I think what it is that they are so mentally strong that they don't have to remember. They just know how to do what they know. Like, and by the way, the Diaz brothers are trained by the Gracies. Like, they are not. They're not just going out there like little thugs. They are highly trained, highly skilled, and they know it so well that they can actually rely on their mind more than, because their body's just doing what it knows how to do.
Well, and I think there's a lot of intuition instead of
I gotta say I loved it. Now, it is unfortunate that Pettis broke his foot in the second round. I don't think it would have mattered. I think Diaz would have beat him anyway.
Well, and that's the funny thing is everyone jokes because Pettis breaks something every fight.
Right. He's injury prone.
He's just prone to that.
I was so glad that they went to the floor because I wanted to see him submit Pettis so badly, because that's what he's so pro. He's so good at it.
I was really surprised it went all 3 rounds, but
I'm not.
The thing is that I think he would have submitted him. They were just so damn slippery.
That's what we said too. They're so slippy.
They couldn't get a hold of anything. It was like trying to hold a baby in the shower. It just
it's true. He couldn't get a good grip on him. And luckily for Diaz though, because he had him around the neck a couple of times. I was like, shit. But he was able to slip right out of that thing. It almost looked like he dislocated his neck to do it. But he
for sure he was gonna
I really thought he had
I thought he was gonna rear naked choke, but regardless, he won. And the thing is that the crowd was just so like out of their mind when he came out.
I would watch the Diaz brothers fight, both of them, Nick and Nate. I'd watch them both every weekend. Same with Cerrone. These dudes go in there and it is a lifestyle, man. This is not a sport. This is the way they live their life, and it really shows. I thoroughly enjoyed every second of that fight. I have to tell you, not real surprised that Cormier lost.
Oh God, I was so devastated.
I know you were, but you know how I knew you were devastated? Because you didn't make any comments about it at all for like hours after the fight.
I think what happened is I think that he was planning on retiring that night.
Agreed. If he won. Yes, I agree.
But I think that, and the thing is the first 3 rounds he was winning because Stipe was just getting his ass handed to him.
I would say I don't know if I'd agree with the first 3. Definitely the first 2.
Well, I read the scorecards, and it looked like they were scoring him up for the first 3. I could be wrong.
I don't remember. I didn't. I just remember watching it going, well, Cormier is dominating.
Right.
Miocic looks like a punching bag right now. His face looks like hamburger.
And so they changed their strategy, which was really great. And obviously it worked. And the thing is that Daniel later admitted, he's just like, I wasn't listening to my coaches.
Oh.
Because he says my coaches kept telling me to wrestle and I wouldn't.
He should have. And he did take him down. He took him down in the second round and he should have continued to do that. He was all over him. Miocic had no control. None.
No. And so the thing is I think that he just kept thinking, because he was able to get those strikes in, that he probably just kept thinking, just like me at least, kept thinking like, okay, this one has to do it, because he was just beating him.
He was.
And I kept thinking, okay, one of these has to do it, you know?
Yeah.
But it didn't. And so his coaches kept saying, I want to see you wrestle. I want to see you wrestle. I want to see you wrestle. And he never did. And if he had done that, I think he would have got him, because Stipe is not a wrestler.
Disappointing for sure. I was with you. I thought for sure, he took his gloves off. I think he changed his mind at the last minute not to retire in the ring.
Yeah.
When they take their gloves off, usually they throw him in the middle of the ring, and that's the official symbol.
That's it.
But he didn't do it. And I'm like, why is he second guessing this? Because it's clear he was going to. And then he said, I'm going to talk to my wife. He just did not want to leave in defeat. But the dude needs to stop.
Well, this is the way I looked at it, is because a couple of the MMA sites, people were commenting, and I just said, I'm like, this fight in the spectrum of his whole career is nothing. Like, literally, this fight means nothing to everything that he's accomplished, all the way from like his high school wrestling to the Olympics to, UFC to today. I said he has been a straight, perfect athlete.
Yeah.
A champion, a double champion. I said he's done it clean. He's done it through people booing him.
Yeah.
All this terribleness, hailing John Jones, who's like the biggest loser on the planet as far as I'm concerned, because of all of his horrible history and drugs and all of that stuff. And I said, and he's done it with pride and a respect for the sport, respect for himself, respect for his family, and all of this stuff. I said, so even with this one little blip, I said, I kind of view it like passing the torch. And
that to me is exactly what I felt like the card was. I felt like it was a changing of the guard. Now Miocic is not young, but
no, he's not.
He is ridiculous, and he absolutely has every right to defend. And he's defended that belt 4 times before he lost it. So the dude is serious business. I would love to see somebody else come up and fight him for sure.
I don't think there's any shame in him walking away and just saying like, I think it's time for me to walk away.
He's 40 years old.
And let these younger guys take over.
Here's the thing. Here's why I want DC to retire. It's not because I don't think he could do it again, but at some point there's going to be some diminishing returns. You're getting hit in the head so much. Try to hold on to that, because he probably already has brain damage. So it's like, if you want any kind of career outside of the octagon, stop. We've all seen what happens to these guys if you don't stop. It's bad news. They have the CTE, where they become suicidal, they become violent, they become difficult, or they just literally can't even formulate a sentence. We've all seen Forrest Griffin. The dude they are taking care of him as much as they can, but the man has severe brain damage. And it's like, stop. You're articulate. You have a great personality. You are an absolute inspiration. You don't need to fight anymore, is my thing.
Yeah. Well, and he's got a career of, he already does the commentating.
Yeah, and keep doing it. Keep doing it. Okay, so congratulations to the new champs, and look forward to more UFC fights.
Prediction, I think if UFC and Dana White is smart, they're going to start pushing Nate Diaz.
he doesn't have a ton of years left in him, so it'd be great to see him, well, he wants to fight Masvidal, which I would love to see. Love to see that.
Well, and he made a good point when he says, they get these hot shots in there and they promote them super fast. He's like, you've got people who's been here for years and they don't do anything with them. And they're excellent fighters.
The best thing when he said was, he's like, I don't know. They're like, well, what about Kobe Covington? He's like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
I loved it. He's like, the only other gangster in this sport is Masvidal. I'll fight him. And I'm like, do it. I love it. It'd be great.
And then someone said breakout star Masvidal, and I'm like, breakout star?
He's not a breakout star.
I'm like, he joined the UFC in 2013.
He's been around, idiots. He's amazingly fun to watch as well. So I would love to see that. All right, well, we're running out of time, so let's do our ugly and awkward moments of the week.
I did post this yesterday on Facebook, but I'll tell it anyway.
I don't remember seeing it. Tell me.
No, you do.
Oh.
I don't remember how we got on the subject. We were talking about that Stevie Nicks song. Edge of 17. I'm sorry, not Age of 17. See, I can't even get that right. I think Ryan and I were singing in the car, and Ryan's just like, what does she say? And I'm like, I always thought she said, just like the world we've owned. Sing
world
the song
we've owned.
something. And he's like, and then we're like, who. So we got home. I don't know what we were talking about, but we were telling Victor, like, we were having like this, conversation about what she was saying. And he's like, I always thought it was just like the white-winged dove. And I'm like, the white-winged dove? I'm like, what? I'm like, no, she says just like the world we've owned. And
gosh.
he's like, well, what's the name of the song? I'm like, I don't know. So I tried Googling it, just like the world we've owned, Stevie Nicks, and nothing came up.
Oh my God.
And so then Victor looked up, he said, it's called The Edge of 17. So we Googled that and then looked up the lyrics, and lo and behold, it was just like the white-winged dove. And I'm like, well, no wonder nothing came up for me, because just like the world we've owned, Stevie Nicks is not anything to anyone. So
that's so funny.
Just one of those misheard lyrics things. But I'm like, do you know how many years I've been singing that lyric? I'm like, I'm 40, and I've probably since I was like a child.
There's a lot of lyrics that I have gotten wrong for a million times. Like, remember Kenny Rogers, Lucille?
Maybe,
forever I thought it was, you picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille. 400 children.
400 children?
It's for hungry children. I thought it was 400 children. I thought maybe they were just being like, facetious. I don't know.
Dramatic or something.
Yeah, I don't know. But no, that's not right. But there is a Zac Brown Band song that Daryl really likes. And he forever didn't know what the lyrics were. And he said it once. And I go, what did you say? He goes, isn't that what it is? I'm like, no. There's that. It's called She's Got Whatever It Is. It blows me away.
Yeah.
Okay. He thought it was She's Got an Innie.
An innie?
Yeah. He goes, isn't it? She's got an innie. And I'm like, an innie, like a belly button? He goes, yeah. And I'm like, no, that's not what it is. So I said it to him.
God.
So now whenever the song comes on, I'm all, she's got a little innie. He's like, no.
It blows me away.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's gross.
I'm like, most people have innies.
Most of us have innies. Only the rare have the outies, along with the
Olivia's
little
an
toddler.
outie.
Well, they grow out of it. All little kids have outies, and then they become innies when they grow up. But anyway,
I don't know. She might stay one. But
oh,
we'll
that's
see.
true. That's true. Okay, so here's mine. It was when we were camping. We had much vodka. We decided that would be a good time to do s'mores. So
okay.
We're sitting around the fire. We bust out the marshmallows, and I don't like s'mores personally.
I'm not a big fan.
Not a fan. And so I said, but I do like catching marshmallows on fire and then trying to eat them apparently when they're lava hot. And so I had my marshmallow sticks, and I put 2 marshmallows on the end, and I shove it into the fire, and I'm like, look, I have fire. And so I blow out the thing. They're all, Jamie, blow them out. They're black. So I blew them out. I'm like, no, you guys are really good like this. So I go to reach to eat one. I'm like, oh, it's hot. And so it falls off because it's molten at this point. It's not even solid anymore. And it lands like a big clump on my thigh. Ow! Exactly. And I'm all, ow! And so I brush it off and I'm all, oh no. I'm like, it's on my thigh. It's burning. And I'm like, it's on the ground now. And somebody's like, here, take one of mine. I'm like, no, I already ate it. And it was so lame. It was so lame.
So dramatic.
It was dramatic. Everybody was dramatic that night, though. That was the thing. So
that's part of being drunk.
I had a little blob burn on my thigh.
Ow, that sounds like it hurt.
You know what? I didn't feel a thing.
You know, it's because you were so drunk.
Yeah.
Had you been sober, it would have hurt real bad.
Oh, and the next morning, by the way, not only was my blob of marshmallow gone, there was like no less than 15 birds eating the Cheeto puke.
Ew.
There was a ton of them. They're like, we're sitting around and Kenzie goes, oh, look, Alyssa, the birds have come to cleanse us of your Cheeto puke. And she's like, ew, I'm sorry.
That's disgusting.
So anyway, that was my ugly and awkward moment. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, we have to go, friends. So thank you for joining us. We will be back on Wednesday. In the meantime, please visit Amazon.com through our uglytruth.com link. Do yourself some shopping for Labor Day, or you can get started on Halloween. Dare I say that, but it'll be here before we know it.
Stephanie wants to have a Halloween party.
I know you were telling me that. I don't even know what that is. I mean,
I think it's just a costume party with Halloween type foods, but I think she wants it to be kid friendly so the kids can come.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to the idea. We just need to
you're going to end up throwing that thing and she's not going to show up.
Well, she asked me if I would host it. And I said, well, yeah, that's what the house is for. I mean, it's huge. That's totally the whole point. But we'd have to do it the weekend before because Halloween lands on a Thursday this week. So we'd have to do it the Saturday before.
Okay. Well, that's probably when everybody's doing their Halloween parties. So.
I think so. We'll see.
Interesting.
We'll see.
Interesting. Okay.
Never thrown one.
And then also visit lipandclip.com for your makeup needs, possibly your Halloween makeup needs. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And then other than that, we will see you on Wednesday. Hope school is going well for everyone. And hit the books, friends. We'll see you Wednesday. Bye. Bye.
Thanks for listening and sharing the show. See you next time on The Ugly Truth.